again, the non-duality, if you heard of it, it's a novel idea. If you've been in that mode of different, like Buddhism, mysticism, Gnosticism, New Age stuff, maybe a little bit of psychotropic, and then a lot of setting. There's so many things, so many ways people are really trying to change what they think they're in, but rarely do they stop and question, are you in it? Yeah. If and I all the everything explained from the fact I'm definitely in it always became very confusing, because I was wondering why nothing really seemed to work, and the payoff cost ratio would be way out of balance. Like 3 weeks of heavy meditation for like a day of sort of a blissed out condition until you met your taxi driver or something, and then the whole system just collapsed and the same old took over. So it was sort of a whole lot of work and a very little results as it went on. But the premise was I was in something and I had to get out of it or purify it or make it better or use it to merge with whatever. Somehow it was completely included, that which I'm not. And after a while of seeing things, and they work, of course, because you're in it. You're the big M mind, and it can use whatever it wants. But for some people, the best information that all those things can bring about is that they're failed, not because there's something wrong with them. It's the premise that you're in it, And the amazing thing is when I saw that I may not be in, everything made sense of how the futility of trying to get out, yeah? The futility of trying to get out. Get out of this, get into that, get out of this, get into that. It just completely made sense finally. And then I had a certain communication that was it didn't take any time, but it showed me a whole lot. And I saw, basically the theme of my living was really Paul trying to get out of Paul, or self trying to get out of self. And in recovery, there was many, many people, there must have been, and have and are, that have been attempting to get out of self as self, and it became a certain banner that didn't come from the big book, but it's raised in a lot of communities, which is self can't get out of self. Why is that? Yeah, because, that which is implying an in can't get out of it, yeah? So the way out is not to be in, and that's the fact, yeah? Yeah. The fact is we're not in. So it gets so extreme, like and what we're speaking of with the word self isn't a noun or a thing, it's really selfing, but it's the feeling or the sense of being the doer when doing is occurring, or the feeler when feeling is occurring, or the thinker when thinking is occurring. And that sense of self, of being the long-lasting, independent, separate entity. So I feel Ramana, in his famous statement, there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing. That would be this idea of self, wanting to get salvation for the non-existent thing, is quite similar to what the Course in Miracles says, is where, firm in the actively denying what you are and firm in faith in this something else you've made to be yourself, it would be that, what is that something else? A non-existent thing. Yeah. So there's a living or an onness or an awareness or an existence, and that existence is being attributed to a thing, yeah? A mental thing, an idea that appears in the dreaming as a thing. So this non-existent thing is trying to get salvation for itself. Yeah? And if it ever got clear and saw the salvation is from itself, you would realize then the salvation is an inherent state, because if salvation was based on a non-existent thing, then the salvation would be always available at all times. If the only thing that's blocking it is a non-existent thing, then there's nothing blocking it. Yeah. There's just be a freedom readily available, and it's sort of like, not like, oh, a uniform or an outfit you have to fly or to parachute into that freedom. It's right here and now, no matter what you're wearing, or whatever outfit, or whatever skin outfit, or whatever condition the head is talking about being in. Really, as soon as you start losing the investment, and not you as the thing, but as mind, as soon as the big mind starts losing the investment in these conditions and requirements, they fall like leaves in the fall from a tree. They just fall. They have no ability to restrain us for a second, other than the ability we give it. Yeah. And they, in Zen, they have a famous statement, the gateless gate. What the hell does that mean? Yeah. There's an appearance of a gate, but there is. It's not living the definition of a gate, which is it's stopping you from getting from one to the other unless you go through this gate. Well, it's a gateless gate. Yeah. Or, upon arriving on having never left. Yeah. Or the seeker is the sought, not the seeker and the sought. It's just constantly cryptically implying, not to you, not to the mental logic, but to that other ear that can hear the message. Yeah. And all it wants to do is just like a symbolic lighting of a fire that's already lit. Yeah. Ching. And then, wow. Yeah. And after a while, enough of those, ching, you're convinced, I feel like there's a point, and it doesn't matter how strong the whack is, or maybe you'll need a number of whacks, but when it reaches a point of being convinced, you'll know it, yeah, because the volume and the influence of that which was driving the head crazy will dwindle and diminish, and without winning, you'll be on the winning side, so to speak, yeah. There's been enough loss of interest in it that you'll have an immunity to it. Yeah. So you can wake up at 1 a.m. and the thoughts may be going, but they're not driving you crazy. You're just in something, and then there's thoughts running through it, or basically on the surface of it. You can stay there for hours. There's no angst or concern it's producing. Yeah. Where those same thoughts years ago, if they were triggered, and they had enough light and enough momentum, they would drive you crazy in a way. Yeah? But now it doesn't. It's sort of like they land and take off without leaving an impression. Yeah? They come and go. Because first of all, you've lost interest in what they're thinking about. Yeah? And broadcasting, you've lost interest in that. And by that loss of interest, the volume's gone down, yeah? So your being at peace at 3 a.m. isn't based on having no thoughts. It is actually based on having no thoughts, but thoughts may be appearing in the space of having no thoughts, because you're not the thinker. Therefore, you're not having thoughts. Not having thoughts doesn't mean there's no thoughts. It's just you're not having them. Yeah, there's just thoughts. Yeah. I was in there last night. Or it was the night before. I don't know. I woke up and I must have, And it doesn't, and you don't wake up tired. Yeah, it's funny. You don't wake up like you lost 3 hours. It's quite beautiful in a way. Yeah. You're like the rocks on the bottom of a creek, and then the leaves are on the surface moving, lots of leaves, yeah? But the rocks aren't getting touched by the leaves. Yeah. They're just going on the surface, and the rocks are like lost in that noise of a creek, you know, or the hum of the generator, or the hum of the IM, yeah? And then you can just, you know, it's not like I've got to get up and watch TV or something to distract the thoughts. You're underneath them. Yeah, you're not here getting whacked by them. It's not like a bumper car. Yeah, they're colliding with themselves. Actually, they need a planet to collide, like asteroids. If you remove the planet, they just are flying around. They're not hurting anyone or anything. They're just being thoughts. Yeah. How can that come about? It can't come about for the thinker. It can't, because the thinker is what's giving the thoughts the meaning they have. What the thoughts deliver wasn't brought about by the thoughts. It was brought about by the thinker. The idea of being the thinker, a large amount of meaning has been distributed to thoughts. Yeah, and then we get the delivery, thinking, you know, just like these, when you get Amazon deliveries, you think they're Amazon products. They're made by tons of other companies, but they come in an Amazon box, and an Amazon person drops them off, but they're not of Amazon. They're from somewhere else, yeah? So this idea of thoughts are driving me crazy. It's the me that's manufactured by the claiming of the thoughts that's actually driving me crazy. Because the me has a lot of opinions about thoughts. It does. I shouldn't have these. Oh, having these makes me a very, very, very bad person. I better put that into the secret file. Yeah? Or I can't share this thought with anybody. They could incriminate me for future crimes. Yeah? It's just thoughts. But the thinker, and why not know what's going on? Yeah? Why not know? I mean, it's the closest. If you want to study, you got one right here. You got an open book right now where we're sitting. You can study it. Maybe you need a little primer. Go in there with a vague understanding, and then you'll read the same shit as you did before, but different aspects will be highlighted. Yeah, and maybe the understanding of those highlighted points will crystallize a view. Yeah, you'll see something. Yeah, you'll finally see something in what you're reading. Or here, the reading is this. You'll see the activities that mostly just imply it's you, but very rarely do we dive in there and take a look. Is there a happening and then something else happens that makes a story up? Yeah, you have to see that. So there's the conscious contact, and then the conscious contact leads to the experience of life's happening, and then suddenly life's happening gets turned into life's happening to me, which is an interpretation. Yeah, it's a pure interpretation. That's not an observation. Life's happening is an observation. Life's happening to me is an interpretation. Completely. Yeah, completely. So don't you think that would be pretty important to see, where does the observation end and the interpretation start? Yeah, because the interpretation says it's you, and it presupposes that you before everything. That's manufactured. It's after. Yeah? You are not in contact with life. You're an interpretation about contact with life. Yeah, really. We're an interpretation based on contact, conscious contact. But that interpretation's not conscious. Yeah? It isn't. Yeah? It derives its story from something other than itself. It's like the inn that Jesus described. You're in this world. Let's say you're in this interpretation, but you're not of this interpretation. Yeah? You're of something else. And no matter how much you're in or how little you're in, it doesn't change the of. You're of something else. Yeah? It doesn't matter how much you wash it in the inn, it's not going to turn into the inn. It's of. Yeah? It's beautiful that way. You can try to dye it, D-Y-E, as thousands of times, and those colors won't catch. Yeah, they'll be like henna tattoos. They'll drop off. Yeah, but then the empty nothingness that those tattoos and everything were impressed upon is still pulsating. Maybe you'll have the eyes to sense it now. Yeah. So, yeah, the mental state, who knows? Why? I don't care. Something arises. We call it the mental state. I don't want to give it the term mind because that would give it too much credit. Yeah, it's mental. Yeah, the mental state becomes conscious, not a conscious, but it's sentient to the fact that something's happening. Let's say consciousness in contact. The mental state arises very quickly, but it needs time to do that, obviously. And the conscious contact truly is not of time, I don't believe. Its starting point is not of time. So there's the conscious contact, and then there's this claiming, and the claiming takes what was the event of conscious contact and interprets it. Like the Course in Miracles says, the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. Yeah, so the mental process interprets it to the story of self. That, so everything is seen as how it pertains to you, and you're not that you. I mean, who would have thunk it could go off the rails? I mean, it's obvious, Now, it would have been nice, let's say if you're having an experience and you had the bonus track, or you were in the platinum tour, that you got an interpretation with it. Wow. You could probably mine a lot of comedy out of the interpretation. It would be fun to see things in different ways. But no, the interpretation has replaced seemingly the living. So basically, we're taking like a lot of comedy material way too seriously. Yeah. Yeah. And when's that happening? Now, Yeah. It doesn't mean it stops. You seeing through it, or the seeing through it, does not stop it. There's just a loss of interest in it because it has nothing to do with volition. It has your fingerprints are not on it, yeah? It's mechanical, yeah? See, when the Course says there's something else you made to be yourself, I don't think that's the way. I'm humbly, I'm not going against the Course, but there's something else that has made itself to be yourself. I think it did it. I don't think you did it. I don't think you made it to be yourself. I think it made it to be yourself. Yeah, I do. So, yeah. So, and the talks here are just, hopefully, I don't know how they're being used, yeah, because the divine choreographer is anonymous, or no matter how many dance steps are revealed. But something happens, and hopefully through the repetition of the message, that light that may have been seemingly snuffed out so quickly is now extending throughout your little mansion. And so you're starting to see what's going on. And hopefully you're seeing that the head will say, I'm the one who's seeing what's going on. And just keep pulling the rug from it, yeah? After a while, it'll fall on its own. You won't have to pull the rug. It will. You know what happened when I came into recovery? A lot of my years of being out there, I didn't have much wherewithal. So I basically had for me to have a car, I had to go out with a girl with a car, yeah? For me to have a place to stay, I'd have to go out with a woman who had a place to stay, who was sort of like that. And I was pretty charming in some respects. So when I got sober, after a few months, I went back to some clubs that I had gone to. Probably not a good idea. And I was at the club, and I was talking to this lady, and I started to do the spiel, I didn't, but the spiel started coming out. And these words came out, but there was no interest in them. They just fell on the floor. I had to say, excuse me, and pick them up and put them out in my pocket, and I just left. Yeah. I saw the charade of it. I didn't have to pull the rug out anymore. Yeah. It just didn't have any oomph. That's what it's like. Maybe you got to pull the rug out. You don't, but there's a rug pulling out. And then there isn't. There's no need because the thing falls on its own. Because it's standing on your legs, really. It's standing on you. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. You know, the more ordinary it gets, the more difficult, not difficult, but challenging to speak of it because the head likes glorious, gala, giant demonstrations, but really, I think you get over that quickly, and then it's really dog shit awareness. Yeah, you're just very. There's just the fact that you're awake already, not as if you did anything to become awake, but you are awake, like we all are. I guess gets established. Yes, it gets. There's a convincing there, and then all the shenanigans that get some life by not having that as a basis, thinking you're asleep but wanting to wake up, all this, a lot of that shit just dries up. Once you take it's sort of like the skillet has to be hot for all the popcorn to bounce around, yeah? When you take the fire away from the skillet, nothing's going to be bouncing around. It just starts, it dies down, yeah? You take one stream away, the next stream away, and basically all of its imaginary tributaries dry up, yeah? And no matter what's going on, nothing that's going on can block what is. It's just impossible, yeah? The best it can do is it can make what is seem not to remember or seem to want to remember, which is worse. But basically, yeah. I have a lot of faith in this message because I heard it through satsang, really. I didn't, I had some experiences, but I needed like a field manual to have it apply in day-to-day living. So that I've learned in satsang. And sitting at satsangs, if I had any questions, they'd be answered, not by asking a question. And things just got rearranged, yeah? And when the same material, let's say, stacked up in a different way, it was much lighter to travel with, yeah? And then more and more and more got revealed. And I feel that's the same possibility for all of us, yeah? I didn't really go into a strenuous training after I heard satsang. I didn't go to the desert for 40 days or 40 nights. Maybe I went to Palm Springs for a few days, for a weekend. And stuff, things were, and this was the power of satsang, really. Yeah. The association with truth. You don't have to be intimately associated with it. It's intimate. Yeah, it's intimate. The casual meeting of it can leave a huge impact. Yeah, it really can. So, thanks, man. And Mike, anyone has any questions or whatever, shares, whatever.
Okay, anybody want to raise their hand? Chris is in a square.
I haven't heard from Chris in a while.
You're still muted. There we go.
Hi, Paul.
Chris?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, it's been a while. I just wanted to say thanks for what you're doing. And it's, I like what you just said about association with truth, because that's really what it is. It's kind of being around that kind of intangible, formless, unspeakable kind of thing that you know about. So I think what you're doing is really valuable. And I just wanted to check in and say that I'm very appreciative that you're doing this work for us. That's all.
Well, vice versa, Chris. I really like your space presence here. It's not yours, but yes, very much so. Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. Anyone else want to raise their hand?
One thing I want to say, as a tool on its own, it can get into a lot of havoc. It's much better when the tool is being used by something that knows how to use it. Whatever allows you to get into that posture was well earned. No matter how much it cost. As long as you're not dead, it's worked. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Mike. Anyone else? Thanks, Chris. Great to hear from you, really.
No other hands showing.
Well, we're contracted to speak till 8 o'clock, so I have to. We may have to do some chanting.
Paul, hi, it's
Hello?
James.
James.
Paul from Long Island. Glad you could be here today, Paul.
Oh, you're welcome, James.
What's verbing mean?
Verbing means activity. Let's say with no beginning or end. Yeah. So I feel everything is happening, and this is just an understanding. I have everything is happening framed with a story that it's Wednesday, like everyone else, but everything is happening, but nothing ever happened. Yeah, that's what I feel verbing is. Yeah.
And don't do anything, it'll just happen.
Well, it seems like it, yeah. But even if you think you did something, it was still just seemingly happening. You know what I mean? It can have that as seemingly happening that you felt you did it just as easily of not having it. But I don't think, yeah. There was a simple thing. I was in Australia. I used to live there on 2000. And they had a show in Australia. This physicist woman was testing, the age-old question of free will. And so they just had her sitting, and across from her was like a clock, and she could move the hands and stop them when she wanted. Yeah. So she had these electrodes on her head, so to see what kind of brain activity was happening. So sometimes she would say she was going to do something to herself and not, and then do it again, trying to fool it. And then she saw that, and they timed when she thought she made the decision, and really when the brain decided before her. Yeah. And so she was on like a second or a second and a half lag. So the interpretation took about a second and a half to catch up to the verbing, so to speak. Yeah. To make it look like it's a noun verb situation. Yeah. But in fact, these things were just happening. See, the flavor that makes it seem so real is the magic trick is talking about the reality of the magic trick. Of course, it's going to see itself as real. Yeah. So people say it's impossible for me to believe I can get out of a body, and they're speaking from the body identification. Of course, the body identification isn't going to go, oh, I can fly out of this body anytime I want. I've done it 8 times today. No, that would null and void the story that you're a long-lasting, independent, separate thing. Yeah. So of course, the logic has to support itself. So just like the thought system, when it's introduced to stuff that actually is working, it says it's paradoxical. The thing it's seeing isn't paradoxical. The thought system is failed. It can't recognize anything other than its own mental logic. Yeah. Yeah. So like in AA, when we came in, people would say, you have it by giving it away. Yeah. And this works incredibly well. But if you're a cocaine dealer, you haven't lived by that understanding. I have it by giving it away. I'm going to charge everyone. So there's, of course, the dilemma isn't the message, is what's claiming to hear the message. That's what we're working on. The message was already here at the first Zoom. It's never missed the Zoom. It was before the Zoom, during the Zoom, and after the Zoom. We're not dealing with the message. We're dealing with the one who feels they've heard the message. That's what we have to constantly keep repeating. Yeah. Because when you read the message, it says here now. You think Wednesday, July 28, 2025. No, looking at it again. January 2023. No, it's here now. Wait a minute. After I come out of my yoga class. No. When I get back from the retreat. No, it's here now. And then finally, after 40, 80 Zoom days, you finally read it correctly. Here now. And it's always said here now. But you read it January 2025. That's what needs to be corrected. The message is beautiful. It's you're already at the dinner table. You don't even have to be invited. But we're going through the formality. Here you are. Yeah. So I like the word. I use verbing really to sort of being a counterpoint to the noun. Yeah. The verbing is self-evident. It's the noun that's the evidence of self. But the noun is not self-evident. It's made up. Yes. So if you present that all there is verbing, it sort of finally points a picture at the noun, the nouning. Yeah, nouning is part of verbing, really. Yeah. So let's just look. But if nouning's part of verbing, it would be nice to have verbing and then an adjunct called nouning, a small little area, instead of having the nouning presupposing itself before all the verbing. It's like a bad position to be in. Yeah, the center of the universe. It's not healthy to be all that you think about. It's just not. It's not a good situation. So. Yeah. So I like the idea of verbing because if you can slow down time enough and just, it's an understanding. It doesn't have real legs, but let's paint some legs on it. You can get a sense of the idea of Paul, or Paul the doer, the thinker, comes after. There's some shit's happened already. Yeah. So if we're seemingly the all and the alpha and the omega, and there's a whole lot of alpha-ing before the alpha shows up, maybe we're the beta, alpha beta. Maybe we're not the alpha, and it would be nice. And then after you get warned about stop looking from the beta to look for the alpha. Just look at from the alpha and tell the truth about the beta. Yeah, that's all. Yes, and a couple more other warnings, and then you're good to go. Now, if you thought you were a cause, and a lot of ideas and sense of got generated by that, there would be a great relief to feel you're an effect. Yeah, you would get relieved of being the cause. So maybe what you thought you did 30 years ago under the influence, you would have relief from, because you would realize you were not the cause, you were an effect. Something was using you, and there would be relief. Yeah, a huge amount of relief that isn't available as the cause. If you feel like you're the doer, no matter what's happening, then there's going to be a lot of mining of guilt and pride can be heavy. You know, it's nice to have pride doing a good job, but when that pride starts demanding calcification, it turns into something. It's not being of service. So, yeah. All right. Anyone else?
Yes, David Strudwick.
Who?
David.
Hey, Paul. G'day, everybody.
Hey, Dave.
Something you said just a little bit earlier struck a chord about how I think you called it the mental state instead of calling it the mind, if I'm right, gets very quiet and sort of weak. I think it's already weak anyway, but it just gets very quiet. I've been lucky the last few days. I think last time I spoke to you guys might have been about a week ago, and I'd had a conversation with 5 of us, but there was only 2 of us there. And two minds, 2 people, 2 shells, and 1 awareness that got its ass kicked. I said, well, I've been lucky enough over the last 3 days that that's been happening a lot with a friend of mine. So I get to see 2 minds. She's in and out of her mind and her body all the time. Like, I suppose you'd call it multiple personality syndrome or something. And God bless her. But it's lovely. It's sort of lovely to watch in a strange way, because it happens to me too. But I was going to say, I have no problem. The last few days, I have no problem with being conscious that I'm just this shell. It's like I just see it. And I wish someone would wash it and take care of it for me. Like, instead of me having to do it, it'd be good if someone else would do that for me too. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that. I don't know if it makes sense to anyone or anything, but it's just been this person who I know. It's just like looking at a mirror, you know, and it confirms a lot of what you say. Here's a funny thing, Paul. Here's a very funny thing. I spent 3 days with this lovely lady, and I reckon she said to me that she's aware 100 times over these 3 days, and I've never heard her use that word ever before. Then when on her way taking her home last night, she was in and out of her mind. Like, I commented on a water slide and she said they're dangerous, and then went back to a million thoughts of the past and I fucking hate them and fucking everything else. And as I was dropping her off, one of the things she said to me, which struck a chord again, she said, oh, Dave, you know that Paul Hedderman, like, YouTube you sent me? And I said, yeah. She said, oh, I don't sort of believe that stuff much. He's just a guy on YouTube and all that. And I thought to myself, funny you say, I didn't say anything to her, but funny you're saying that, because you over the weekend, I reckon you've spoken to me about 100 times exactly what he's on about. You know, and like with her awareness, this stuff sort of comes to know. It's weird, like it's just weird, but lovely. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd say that. Yeah.
Good, Dave. There'll be more coming. There you go.
That's been going on a lot, mate. You actually said that last time, a week ago. You said you'll get more of this. And I thought, oh, yeah, let's see. And then the next day it started again. It just comes off in little bits, you know?
Yes. Yes. You know, our expectations of solutions have been so minimized, but this is a solution. Yeah, it's a solution that when you're in it, there's no need for it because from its view, there is no problem. So from our view, there's a need for a solution. This solution informs you there is no problem. I haven't run into too many solutions that do that. Yeah. So it's pretty good. Pretty damn good. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Mike.
Anybody else want to raise their hand? Satish.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, Satish.
You know, one of the challenges I run into is like most of the day, I am acting as this separate self. You know,
No,
almost
no, that's Satish, let me just jump in there. I know you don't probably mean it, but the language sounds like it's you that's acting like a separate self. There isn't a you acting like a separate self. There's a statement by the mental state that there's a you acting like a separate self.
right,
Just
right.
gotta start seeing it, or you'll just keep. You know, it seems very nonchalant and casual, but it has some bonding agent. Yeah, it has some glue. And if you're used to being there, it doesn't even have to have active glue. You'll just feel like you're it. Yeah. So let's check it out. It's not you that feels like a separate self. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That glue keeps happening, you know.
Yeah, of course it does.
And then, you know, I do remind myself once in a while, that's not me. But
Yeah, so Satish, let's say something in you that may not be as consequential as you think tells you that it has to disappear completely for you to be free from it. And you buy that condition, which didn't come from any mystical knowledge, it's just an assumption. And now, if it can have you believe there's one or two remnants of it, that therefore it has the ability to block you. No, the freedom is from it. It doesn't mean it disappears. There's a freedom from it, but that activity goes on in the head. Yeah, it's not volitional. It's mechanical. Yeah, so Satish is the representative of that activity, and it's waiting for the activity to stop. But what's waiting for the activity to stop is part of the activity. You see, it just does this. Yeah. You feel like if it wouldn't show up, I, which is part of it, would feel great. So it has the perfect conundrum. It says, all right, my peace is going to be when it doesn't show up, and what's waiting to have that peace is that which you're not. So it has you perfectly caught, so to speak. Yeah. You want to be there to experience your own absence, and it doesn't work. It's one of the little maneuvers it does all the freaking time. Yeah. So, yes.
So yeah, I have to admit that part of me is waiting for it to stop, but that I also know that it's going to stop on its own and not because of any effort I put in.
Well, I can guarantee you one day it's going to stop when the body dies, definitely. So you're going to be successful.
Okay.
It's going to stop. It's a brain. It's not. This is the hardest thing to keep reinforcing. It's mechanical. It's not volitional. There's not a certain Satish that's doing it. Yes. Not the way the mental logic pictures a doing of it, which means a doer. Yeah, it can't see a doing without a doer. So when the mental state's interpreting this doing, it's implying there's a doer. That's where the moralness and the badness comes from, not the doing. It's the doer of it. Yeah, I found that's mechanical. Yeah, I do not see that there's volition there. So if you're waiting for that condition to change to enjoy peace of mind, you can enjoy peace of mind with that condition going on. Yes? That condition is sort of like a small square in this 9-square configuration. Yeah? Let's say each square has has the peace of mind. Yeah? And maybe in this one square, you're not accessing it because that square is based on a lot of activity and agitation. The other squares, there's clear access to it. And those other squares aren't blocking out this one square. They're part of the whole square. Yeah? So here, yes, this is going on. But it ain't the dominant going on in all the other squares. Yeah? When you're in completely up the ass of self, the only square you're picking up is the one. So you think that's the laws of that one square pertain to all the others. They don't. They don't. Yeah? Something can appear in the sky and not affect it a lot. Yeah? So this is a stubborn idea of volition. If you take it down to the nub, there's always a sense that somehow I did something or I'm doing something, and there's no answer down that rabbit hole. Yeah. So if you can just see that it could be mechanical, like somebody pressed the button and it's on and it's doing its thing, and of course part of its thing is that it could stop anything else that's going on, but it can't really. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It doesn't block you off from anything, really, other than what you believe it can block you off from. Yeah. So I waited too long for certain conditions to change absolutely to sort of give me myself the permission or possibility that I could be inherently okay. It's just going to keep adding more hoops and stuff. Once it has you jumping, it's not going to let you stop jumping. It's just going to keep, yeah. So
is it that I have to stop jumping?
No, nothing has to stop jumping because it's not you jumping, yes? So fucking let it jump away.
So I have to let it jump away.
Unless it's getting you arrested and stuff, and then maybe you need to do something, to change its behavior. But basically, I mean, that was corrected in this life by recovery. I'm not burning people's houses down or shit like that. I'm not doing shit, really. So basically, let it do its jumping. It doesn't matter.
So I have to let it do its jumping.
No, you don't have to do squat. Yeah, I just want you to recognize, see, the I just got transformed to the one that's going to have to let it do whatever it's doing. Yeah, I want to get our thumb on that I that keeps bouncing around in Satish and just let it hold it there for a second. Yeah, see what happens. Yeah, because see, we catch it. It's like whack-a-mole. We just whacked one down, and then the next mole, whack. You don't realize the one that's has the thing that's whacking the mole is the mole. It's just, just see that. You don't have to see it and have it stop. Just see it and let it continue. Really, because you're jumping in there thinking you have a lot to do with it is going to just fuel the fucker, yeah? The activity. This is more about losing interest, yeah? Losing interest. and recognizing that you cannot set out on a course to lose interest. That would be interested in you. So this is a loss of interest in you. Yeah. It's a loss of interest in the body as self. It's not a loss of interest in the body. It's a loss of interest in the body as self. Yeah. That's the winner. Yeah. You lose interest in stuff, and that stuff doesn't seem as big as it used to. Yeah. And sooner or later, you make the connection, as the Course does, Course of Miracles. You and I are giving everything all the meaning it has. Exactly. Yeah. So.
Hey, Paul,
Yeah.
we may have to whack a mole here, but I'm not sure. Okay, so there's like there's the action figure, and just there's nothing to do, but just let that action figure do whatever the heck it wants, knowing that there's a big, bright, everything's really big and bright, and let that little action figure, knock its head against the wall for once, and just don't get too interested in it. Is that what you're saying?
But those are effects. They're not things that you affected. Yeah. You come to those places. You don't arrive there. You don't, it comes to you. It becomes clear. Yeah. Yeah. It becomes clear what you're saying. Yeah. That you have nothing to do with it. You don't practice, you have nothing to do with it. That would be you having something to do with it. Yeah. You arrive at, it has nothing to do with you. Yeah. You arrive there, and when you arrive there, it's always been that way. So it's sort of weird. It looks like it took time, but when you arrive there, it said it doesn't. Yeah. So, yeah. But it's a loss of interest. Like, I'm not, I feel like I've been dumbed down in a lot, which is great over the years. I mean, really, I think it's a sort of divine stupidity, really. It works. I'm pretty, yeah. I'm not coming from Long Island, New York, I'm a simple man now. That's a miracle in itself, if you know Long Island. So, yeah.
Maybe we should use different pronouns for the small I and the big I.
Yeah, I wanted however it helps.
Me. You say me and I.
Yeah.
The me, not
Huh?
me, not me, and I. But unfortunately, you doesn't have that. The you does not have the option of me and I.
Yeah, I remember when I first was doing this stuff, some people are really interested in trying to change the language and make a more non-dual language. And I said, yeah. I just thought that was way too much. You know what I mean? I think, can't you wear shit loosely, really? If they're not your words, can't you wear them loosely? Do they really have to mean what they used to mean? Like when I say I'm at a meeting of AA, I'm an alcoholic, is that a proclamation of a fact? It isn't anymore. Yeah? Now I could be slick and say I'm a grateful member of recovery, so I didn't say that I'm an alcoholic. But, why? I don't need to do that. I'm not trying to convince myself of something. Yeah? So you're in Rome. When you're in an AA meeting, you're like in Rome, you wear a toga. Yeah? Are you the toga? No. But you wear one because you're in Rome. So I don't know. I don't see a huge thing with it. Yeah? And so I don't see... yeah. If I wanted to be specifically correct, grammatically, I'd have to go to school. I mean, I just speak off the cuff. I'm hoping that the communication isn't the words, and I'm hoping that they're not muddying something that is getting impressed, Because if you ever listen to, and I'm not saying I'm in that class, but in a way, when a talk comes through you, it's sort of like a jazz player. You got one theme, but you're hitting a lot of notes, and a lot of those notes have nothing to do with the theme, but then they get woven into the theme. Yeah, so you can't see the connection, but if you listen to more, it's all weaves in. Yeah, that's the communication and the message of the satsang for me. Yeah, if I stop and I question one note, I, me, you, he, they, it takes away from that beat, that rhythm. Yeah, there's something to satsang. It has something. And to have to stop and, all right, we got to get a new meaning for the word or something. Yeah. What carries you away isn't the words in satsang. I'm just telling you, it's not. Yeah. I know people who are incredibly specific, but they're terrible communicators. Their books are great, but if you hear them speak, they're boring as fucking hell. Yeah. Swear to God. You can't wait to get out of the room, in a sense. But their books are incredible. I mean, something comes through, but it doesn't come through live. So, whatever. It's just, I think the meal tastes, I like goulash and stew better than separate plates, I like it all in one, like chiapino. I like that kind, with a nice broth and shit floating in it. That's sort of what satsang's like. Yeah, don't get caught up in the shit. Drink the broth. That's got it all. And I apologize, but I hope you feel me when I say certain words. There's a different feeling to them. Yeah. Hopefully. It's hard. Zoom is different. Zoom has a little bit of an antiseptic quality. It does affect. It sort of turns down certain notes and amplifies others, where a live meeting does different. Like the one who's running the soundboard at a live meeting is hitting different notes than on a Zoom meeting. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Mike, anyone else?
Anybody else want to raise their hand?
I know what it's like to want something so badly and then come to the realization that my wanting it so badly is part of the obscuring. Actually, the huge part of the obscuring. It's a bummer, yeah? But you get over it, yeah? It's like a rude awakening. You realize the way you are cannot get it, yeah? Yeah? It's not really, what's being questioned is not who I am, it's the way we are, how we're running, yeah? You can't grab this. You can't get it. You can't lose it, which is great. Taking it piece by piece and going over piece by piece and knowing each piece doesn't mean you know the message, yeah? It's an impact. It's something like an unspoken yes or an aha, and that aha gets drawn out like a long note. Yeah, and maybe when it starts to wane, you go to another satsang, it gets drawn out again. And you're now getting reintroduced as a different frequency, so to speak. And a hidden bass line is being brought out. And now you're starting to hear that bass line. And then the rest of the shit makes sense with that bass line, yeah? While you weren't hearing the bass line, it seemed very confusing, but now shit's making sense. Because you're hearing it from the bass line, From the fact that being ourselves reality. The seeker is the sought. The Buddha, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. that stuff becomes that baseline. Yeah. Yeah. So Kenneth is asking a question.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, Kenneth, how are you?
Very good. You know, your message is so precious. In the beginning, I found myself, because I'm coming from a Buddhist background, I found myself very comparing your message to what to the Buddhist teaching I had from before. And I noticed that gradually, the mind settles down. And now, even now, I do get days when I will start questioning myself, and then because I have friends who are still in the practice, in the Buddhist practice, and we share things, but I'm not very able to communicate what I'm getting from here. So, but personally, I find that it's really deepening my so much about life. You know. And whether you call it spiritual or not, it doesn't mean anything now. It's not about a spiritual practice now, and there's so much less conditioning, because I find this message there's no condition at all. That's so wonderful about it.
Yes. Yeah. You are, I am what we've been looking for, Kenneth. Yes.
Yep, a lot of previous practice of mine has a lot of conditions, because your mind is, you're not doing right, so there's condition you have to do. If you're doing right, then you have to do a condition to keep it going. You know, so much commitments and so much stress based on that.
Yes. Yes. It seems to. Yeah. Well, if you look at certain groups, if you took out all the opinions and stuff, you'd have to say the word awakening has been used to produce more suffering than good. Yeah, because you had another thing to whip yourself with. I'm not awake or something. I mean, yeah. And then enlightenment has driven so many people crazy, believing they're not enlightened, and worse when they think someone else is, and then they're not. Yeah. So you don't need thousands of examples to see the mental theme. It's pretty obvious in one, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And what happens maybe down the road, I can lay down for hours. I don't call it meditation, and I don't have a notebook that I keep tally. It was just what was happening then. Yeah. And then there's other things that happen, and I don't take notes of them either.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm sitting in a spiritual safari making notes that I saw a gazelle or a big mountain, a big lion. It's just, I see gazelles and lions, but what? The emphasis to me is more on the seeing, yeah, than what's happening. The more on the onness itself, not what you're on to, but onness, yeah. So I don't think that which is always available all times doesn't need a note that it was available today. I just don't think that's necessary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, if you put on the shoes and they fit, wear them. Who does, maybe they're not the authorized, Buddhist Michael Jordan sneakers, but if they're working, you wear them. Yeah. Yeah. If you're jumping pretty damn high, fucking doesn't matter if they have the title or not, eh? It's probably easy without a title. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I do see some benefits from my previous practice, though, like there are benefits. For instance, let me just share with you one personal experience I had. I did a purification practice. Yeah, it was a couple of months of silence and mantra recitations. Okay. And the funny part was, when I set out to do this practice, I said, maybe towards the end, I go to the next step, right? But when I finished that practice of mine, I quit. I closed everything. It just that's when I closed the books, I closed my commitments and everything. And I said, I'm just going to relax. And about within a month or maybe 6 months afterwards, for some reason, I went into, I was listening to TAT Foundation.
Yes.
And that's where I got your name from there. And it's just, that's how I got switched to non-duality, and I listened to a few of your YouTubes. And since then I've been, just listening to your message.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, in the story, you did that and it led you to here. That's beautiful.
So
Yeah.
we really don't know where it leads us somehow, isn't it?
Yes, but I always feel like, I like the statement in the Course in Miracles describing like that. Yeah, like you went on a month or two purification, then you come out, then you get introduced, not looking for it, but non-duality and stuff. Well, that to me is captured by the statement in the Course in Miracles that you and I are the dreaming, and we're dreaming ourselves out of the dreaming. And as we do, the dream gets happier. So I would say those events that have led you to this point are captured by that statement. Yeah. It's very nice, I feel. Yeah. So in a way, one thing that's missing in this world a lot for us when we're traveling through it is a deep assurance, isn't there? Because when we take ourselves to be what we're not, that condition is based on a lot of other conditions. And the whole nature of this place is volatile, yeah? So conditions don't necessarily stay the same condition. They're constantly changing. And so there's not an ability with those dynamics in place to really deeply rest, because let's say that which you're resting on, let's say a belief or something else, will change, yeah? It will, that which held you will collapse. So, but to have an assurance, or to have it based on the clarity of uncertainty, is great, yeah? But there's an assurance, you have a deep assurance that something is I wouldn't, in this, the way as an action figure I would translate it, something's okay, yeah? But obviously that's not it. But as an action figure, there's an assurance that there's an okayness that doesn't have to be built or maintained or washed, or doesn't demand a lot of care. There's just an assurance, yeah, that you finally arrived at something that you're convinced of being so, yeah? And that was, to me, the message of non-duality, yeah. Yeah. It's allowed a strong foundation that carries nothing. That's what's great. The foundation could hold anything, but it's nothing. That's what's on it. Yeah. So thanks, Kenneth. It's been nice to watch you and get to know you from Toronto to Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
And
good.
I'm really grateful for the Zoom. Like without the Zoom, there's no way I could have personally come and meet you or hear your talks. So it's thanks.
Well, we're going to have the Zooms as long as we can until we don't. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any, termination date. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because it's a joy for me to see people that I'm not going to meet personally, maybe, and yet still be able to share space with them, because I think that's healthy for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, such a gift. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Kenneth, for the no conditions. Because I wanted to mention when like James and Satish were talking about letting, and then ... the rest of the sentence about what there's letting, as opposed to just letting. But it's you can't, how do you say it though? Because the regular mind can't get it. Like you say, acceptance is a condition that happens. You don't accept. So like that phrase, live and let live. No, it's just like if you're living, it inherently lets live. But you don't do that as a commandment. But yeah, it's just like so impossible to say it.
Well, exactly, because the meaning is given to it. It's not, we don't, it doesn't give us its meaning. We give it its meaning. we're missing the distribution line. we're complaining about the deliveries, but we're the company that's sending them. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so yes, I know. When I would read certain things that were really an expression of an effect, I saw them as orders, and that just became one more order, impossible order in a line of impossible orders, which made me want to get loaded, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, when people would tell me, "Why don't you just stop drinking?" I would go say, "I wish I could." It seems to be evading me. I don't know why. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyone else? We can say goodnight, eh?
I don't see any hands, so yeah.
All right, Mike. Thank you for everything once again. Tommy, I've never seen you, Tommy, but I'm happy you're here. And we've got David, David from Oz. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Robert French from New Zealand. Yes. My favorite Kiwi. Yeah. We got Craig May. He's looking very dapper there. Yes, we got Stefan on Having Never Left. Kenneth, thank you for that share, Kenneth. Yeah. Tej, always a pleasure. Tej is he's been around the spiritual block quite a lot. He's got a lot of yeah. He could null and void a lot of your magical destinations. He's been with us, some of the people you wanted to be with. So nice to see you, Tej. Yep. We got Vlad. Vlad, I don't know where the hell Vlad is. I think he's in Russia. Yes? Russia? Ah, Russia. All right. Nice to see you, Vlad. Satish, I'm very happy to always to see you. You had me confused with Peter. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know. That was funny. Say hello to Peter for me too, if you like.
I will.
Yeah, I knew
He's having a good time in Hawaii.
in Maui.
Yeah.
Oh, great, great. So Anu, nice to see you, honey. I imagine you're still in India. Yes. Thank you for all your support too. I really appreciate it. It helps a lot. Yeah. Johannes, as always a pleasure to see Johannes. Johannes, I think next, it matters if conditions change, but next September, we're going to do a little retreat in Italy. Yeah. I hope you can come down there from Germany if you can.
Yeah, boy, let's see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sanda, nice to see you there. She's in the motherland. Yes. Nice to see you, honey. We got Alex. There she is. Yeah. Hudson Valley. Jacob, Seattle. We got JP. I got a different vision. He's living large now. He's very comfortable there. Nice to see you, JP. Alan, thanks a lot for the donation. Always a pleasure. Yeah, always happy to see you. And we got John R. John R. was pretty wicked. He was wickedly funny at my expense the other day. That's all right. Yeah, wait till I see you face to face.
Sorry. What
Huh?
can I tell you, Paul? It wasn't me.
I've broken away from the ventriloquist. It's the dummy from now on. There's no strings. I don't.
Yeah. You know what they say, it takes one to recognize one. I was just thinking about that when there's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yes.
And I'm just trying to put it into some kind of a picture. But if so, I've been looking for the message, or waiting for the message to be delivered. But I've got a dog, and the postman was kind of over the road waiting to deliver the message, but he wasn't coming because he knew he would get bitten. And then one day the dog was asleep and the message got delivered. That's I don't know. So John had to go, basically, or just be seen, possibly, as being asleep. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, thank you so much, Paul. And I am really, I am so sorry. I apologize.
No.
I make amends now.
Hey, bro, I can dish it out. I can get it. Doesn't
Well, I
matter.
was sort of hoping that,
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I'm from New York. You have to have thick skin.
sure.
Yeah.
Clearly, the sense of humor was what attracted me, and we probably have a similar kind of.
Yeah, that was
thing.
pretty good. That was you've
I'm
been
sorry,
waiting.
man.
You've been waiting in the weeds, and then suddenly you came out in all your glory right
In
after
all my
David.
glory,
That was
yeah.
pretty good.
Laying carnage. I thought, shit, I've disrespected the master. I'll be banned.
We had a 3-card Monty by Australia, 3 Aussies in a row. It was pretty good. Very nice.
Yeah, no, fantastic meetings, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. See you. Hey, Steve. There's Steve from Germany and James J. And who else? We got Alan. We've got Miss Amelia, Sue. Nice to see you, Sue. Let's see. We got John R. Yeah, that's about it. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you recovery tomorrow and then Saturday. Hey, Mike, there's no live meeting Saturday, but actually they can be live Saturday at the house, Mike, if you want, because the kids are away for
not this Saturday.
Yeah, we could. Oh no, we're going away. I forgot. All right, not this
I
Saturday.
mean, yeah.
Forget about it. Just keep it the way it is. Yeah. All right. I better not speak. Yeah, it doesn't work well. Okay, I'm taking off. I'll see you.
Thank you. Bye.
It will be Zoom. Saturday Zoom will be on. Yes.
Yeah, in fact, it might not be live for like through January even, right? Because of Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, probably not. But I'll do a Zoom on Christmas anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever. It doesn't matter. All right. See you. Bye.
Bye. Good night.